As an entrepreneur, starting and growing my company to 70 people now, I spend a lot of my time reading and watching videos about how to become a better leader every day. I'm Lucca, and today I'm going to talk about someone who I have been a fan of for many years, Simon Sinek. You may know Simon Sinek from his iconic videos that went totally viral. One of them being the TED Talk where he talks about starting with why, which is also a book that he wrote. And he talks about companies like Apple, right? That they started thinking about why they do what they do, and then they went into the what product they're gonna make and how they're gonna make it happen. Another video you might have come across is the one that he talks about millennials in the workplace in an interview with Tom Bilyeu. And he talks about how the perception that we all have about millennials can be very wrong. The reality is that everything that they do is influenced by the environment, by technology, and parenting. As you can see, I love everything that Simon Sinek talks about. If you want to go deeper into his ideas and observations of the world, Simon Sinek published 5 books, and I'm gonna link my favorite on the description below. Now you're wondering, why am I making this video? Because I had the immense opportunity to watch him live in London. Simon Sinek is now touring for his new book called The Infinite Game, and he came to London and did a whole speech about the book and the big ideas inside the book, and I was there live. And I had the courage to go there and ask him for an interview here on Lucca.
I am a serial entrepreneur in the technology and games industry, and I'm also have been building a YouTube channel with a cause to encourage more young girls to become entrepreneurs and to also start their own companies in the games and technology industry. So I would love to ask if you would be fine for me to interview you at some point. That's the question. I have to ask, sorry.
I love it. Do it.
So Simon, if you're watching this now, please contact me back. Simon Sinek starts with the concept of finite versus infinite games. Finite games, things are all established. So think about a sport, think about like football, right? Everything is established. You know who are the players, you know what are the rules, you know the time frame for you to win, and there is a clear winner at the end of the match. Infinite games, everything is a little bit different because things are always changing, rules are changing, and you have to deal with situations that are totally unexpected as you play the game. Typically, in infinite games, there is no clear winner. You just play for the sake of continuing to play. The problem is when a disconnection happens, when you have a finite player playing against an infinite player. Good example of that is the war between the US and Vietnam. The US wanted to win the battle. The Vietnamese were trying to survive. So for them, it was all about playing the infinite game. When you put this concept into business, you can see that organizations are actually built to last forever. But then if you have finite leaders in your organization who are only looking at short-term gains or beating the competition like tomorrow, you're actually missing a big opportunity to build a massive company in this infinite game. It only takes a few cycles of bad decisions and bad leaders to put your company out of business. How do you know if you have finite leaders? Everything they talk about is about short-term gains. They're never thinking about how they're going to be, building a big vision to innovate in the future. Simon Sinek talks about 4 elements of leadership that are very crucial for leaders who are playing the infinite game. The first one is just cause. I personally found that that's somewhat really related to finding your why. So he talks about leaders who think about big vision, and they have such a self-awareness that they can instill that vision and that emotional connection to everyone around them. And the just cause is exactly that. It's like you have a big cause, you believe in something, you go for it. It made me think about Martin Luther King when he talks about I have a dream. There's no one in the world that actually was never moved by that speech because it's so, inside. I don't know how to explain that. That emotional connection that, very few leaders actually in the world have. Second element is trusted teams. As a leader, your mission is to create an environment where your employees, where your team is actually doing their very best. You want to give your trust to them so that they are not afraid of making mistakes. They actually feel in control, they feel less stressed, and they feel they actually have agency over their work. That's very easily said, but very difficult to be done. A lot of entrepreneurs say that they are super inspirational, they can do very well on that front, but they actually micromanaging a lot of people. I've been through this myself because I'm my worst self-critic, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I had to learn through experience how to actually instill the right goals and the right results in people's mind and aspirations so that they feel in control of their work and they can do amazing things. So here's what I learned. If you're having to micromanage someone, it's because one, you probably don't trust them enough that they're going to be doing a great job, which means you hired very badly and you have to fix that. Or you actually must improve the way that you lead and establish your vision so that people feel connected to the goal that you have in common. At the end, everyone in the world is trying to be their very best. It might be that their very best is not a match for you and for your needs, but then again, as a leader, you have to fix that. A worthy rival. I don't know, I'm in two minds about his point about that, because he talks about the fact that a worthy rival, someone who's kind of a competitor that you see as rival to you, is really good for you. You're constantly trying to be better than them. But I'm not sure, because it's like this in my mind is the finite game, right? That you're actually looking around. I did that a lot in my second business, which was a 3D printing company. I was totally obsessed about the potential competitors that was coming to the market. And I spent a lot of time looking at what were they doing, spent a lot of time freaking out that they might be raising way more money than I do, and therefore they would go faster than me and conquer the whole world, right? I don't think that's a very good thing to do. You can do that if you're just using your worthy rival for your self-improvement. Then I agree. Then it's about you upping your game and making better things every day, as opposed to just looking at them and seeing how you compare. Capability for capability of existential flexibility. This point is all about finding the best way to advance your game. Very often, you have to make really big decisions to change totally the strategy of your company, the way that you're moving that forward, because you need to have the courage and the self-belief to look into the future and say, what I'm doing right now is not going to take me there. Sometimes, what you're doing is making a lot of money, but it might be that your future is going to be bleak if you don't change as soon as possible. I find this topic fascinating because the characteristics of entrepreneurs is exactly that. It's like that's why we start businesses, because we see something that is not working out there and we want to make 10 times better. As we scale the company, sometimes you have to add some processes that keeps your company scalable and repeatable, right? So people say about repeatability of your revenues, of your products, and etc. As a leader, you always have to be connected to the moment that you need to make a massive pivot from where you are, from getting out of this comfort zone of succeeding and changing direction so that your future is bright. As we wrap up for today, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Let me know who else you want me to talk about here in the channel, or even to welcome for an interview, especially because I've met Gary Vee and Amy Landino and Simon Sinek as well. But leave a comment, it's up to you. If you want to learn how to find your passion, go here. If you want to watch any other video from the channel that is the best for you, that YouTube is going to recommend you, go here.